What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. It is the four-man front, and it's going to be a heavy Brock Purdy topic day. It just is. I mean, this is the point in the season that we are at. I don't know much of anybody who cares about the Dolphins game. Maybe you're one of the few. Sorry, there's not going to be a lot of Dolphins 49ers talk coming up on this show, but there is a lot of offseason talk. There is a lot of future talk, and we're going to break it all down next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And as I said, it is four-man front night, which means I got my guy Ryan G. Hensley, Grant Cohn, and the coach in the building. Ryan, I'll start with you, man. How's your night going?
Oh, good. I thought you were going to ask me that question. It's going well, man. Almost Christmas time.
I've got a topic that everybody's like,
yes, he's so shook.
He
was like,
bro, it's like I raised my hand and he's like, oh, geez, what's going on? What do we got?
Yeah.
Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just finishing out the holiday season. So just excited to get Christmas going.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Grant?
Looking forward to Hanukkah. Really hoping for good things for Hanukkah this year.
There you go. Yeah. There's no Santa in Hanukkah? No, nothing?
Not that I know of, but hopefully maybe this year there will be. That would be great.
All right. That's perfect. Well, because Ryan is so skittish, I'm going to start with him on this question.
Pass.
So, can I phone a friend? All right. All of us, I know that all of us agree here. They shouldn't pay Brock for a multitude of different reasons. And we're gonna talk about all the options that are available to the 49ers and how they should navigate it. But the first thing is, sometimes we like to have a little fun and make an argument for something we don't necessarily believe in, just to see how good of a take we can come up with. And the first one on the docket tonight is why the 49ers should pay Brock. Because there is a segment of this fan base that believes he should be paid. Whatever he wants, he's earned it. And the 49ers may fall under that category. We'll see. But maybe they're like, hey, you know what? $60 million a year, 5-year deal, done, sign us up, gets done right away. I have a feeling that's not the way it's going to go, but maybe. So with that being said, I want the three of you to make the case as to why Brock Purdy should get paid top of the market quarterback money. Ryan, I will start with you.
Because it's worked out so great for Tua and the Miami Dolphins and Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys and Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Obviously, they are the role model that we should follow after. I have no idea, dude. I'm struggling with this one because I don't know. Because that's the going rate. Like, that's the argument people are throwing out there? That's the going rate. That's the market for quarterbacks. So you got to pay them. I mean, that's the argument I hear. I don't have a real good answer for this one. I'm so sorry, but I just don't know how to sell that. And I think Brock's agent, he's lucky that he's dealing with the 49ers who seems like they bought into Brock and they're going to pay him. How much is a question, but I would have a hard time selling it if I was his agent. And I think he'd be impossible to any team outside of the 49ers. But I'm sorry, that's my best guess.
Yeah, for sure. Coach, what do you think?
For me, the best reason why we should pay him is because he represents the future. We've seen the level best of what Kyle can do. And what my thing is that I don't think we're going to see Brock outside of Kyle. So why you pay him is because you see the next evolution. If we can see what can happen with this offense, if we can push forward into having a true franchise quarterback, we bring continuity to an organization that seems to get a little bit too happy with paying tackles and receivers and tight ends and fullbacks. Where I feel like paying a Brock Purdy gives us more continuity. It slows us down. It forces us to get different options through the draft and free agency, and we become more of a traditional team. I think one of the reasons why Brock is here is so we don't have so many overpaid players that don't deserve the type of money, so we can start playing hardball with these guys. I think that being able to pay Brock allows us to have the identity of our team, and then build pieces around him. So it's no more about what Kyle wants for his offense or the pieces that he can bring in, but it's more shaped around what can we do to make this offense better. And then ultimately, for me, the silver lining is that we finally get to figuring out what is Kyle, right? Is Kyle truly going to do it with the quarterback that he has? And then we get to answer the question of what is Brock. Now, what we pay him is a completely different conversation, but that's my best, take for paying him, right? Because he's earned the right to be paid.
All right. Grant, what about you?
All right. If I had to make the argument like I'm his lawyer, you could say that, look, he's had a down year. He had a great year. Which one is he? Well, we've seen it work with him when the team is good. The team fell apart this year. His numbers fell apart. You could look at it as an opportunity and say, now you might be able to get him for a little bit less than if he had balled out. And if you were to make him play out the contract and he comes back next year and plays well, then his price tag goes through the roof and you might have to give him a fully guaranteed contract. So maybe you get the opportunity to sign him to like a team-friendly deal, even if it is a multi-year contract. And if you're able to put the pieces around him that you had last year, like wide receivers and running backs who can beat man-to-man coverage, maybe improve the offensive line. Like look at how the Rams gave up on Jared Goff. Look at how the Browns gave up on Baker Mayfield. Maybe if they had just worked a little harder to put a better team around those guys, they would have had their quarterback all along instead of like searching or giving up tons of draft capital or money for someone else. Like that's the only reason I could think of. I mean, it's not like he's had a lot of success here. He didn't have it this year. There's a lot of reasons for that. Maybe you can get him at a discount and rebuild what he had in the past.
I like that take.
I like your guys' effort better than mine. So good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah, they to be fair, they did cheat a little bit, Ryan, because I said top of the market value, and they both made their arguments around paying them a little bit less. So even then, it was but it was good. It was really good, even though they cheated a little bit. No,
since I didn't cheat, I won.
yeah. I'm not handing out a winner. I'm sorry.
I'm saying they could give him a deal that's $60 million a year, but the guarantees aren't that great, and they get out of it after a two or 3 years. Whereas if they make him play out his deal and then franchise tag him, like Washington did that with freaking Kirk Cousins. He ended up getting a fully guaranteed contract for years from Minnesota. So that's how he could get more expensive if he comes back and plays really well.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe this is the thing. There's a far cry from paying him absolutely nothing and stonewalling him versus paying him the most money that the market can garner him. I feel like there's a happy medium. Now, is it Brock's agent's job to say that he wants the absolute best money that he can possibly get? Yes, that's his job. He's supposed to do that. But at the same time, what the agent is putting out there versus how the Niners feel and where Brock falls, that's a whole different conversation. And there is something to be said about he is a captain, so you got to be careful with how you treat him, because I'll tell you this right now. I know that we have the pragmatism to look at Brock as kind of like a black and white situation. Either, he's good or he's not. But you can lose a lot. We've already got a locker room that's kind of on tilt right now. The last thing you want is some guys in there that truly believe in Brock, seeing how he's treated by the organization. That could put things in a bad situation.
Yeah, I think that's another reason too. I think ultimately we are still talking about a quarterback that's 24 years old. It's not like careers are made or ended at 24. He has done some good things. And you would expect too that the 49ers, they can't just pay any quarterback and then be done with the roster. Like they're going to have to continue to roster build. And they've done a good job of doing that. Now it's going to get harder once you pay a quarterback, but they've built a good roster. They've built a contender. One really that went to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship with two different quarterbacks, which is not easy to do. That tells you that they've built a strong roster. Now they're going to have to tear this one down a little bit and redo it. But if they've done it once, why couldn't they do it again? And we know that if they have a strong roster around Brock, he can take them to potentially new heights. So I would say that those would be the reasons that I would look at. I know that none of us believe he should get paid top of the market money, and we're going to talk about some of the solutions here in a minute. But it is definitely hard to make the argument when it's not something you believe in. MGV says, new member, appreciate you. And then Dazza says, reality is when Brock Purdy had average weapons, he's looked average. Yeah, I think that's non-elite quarterbacks. So they all look pretty. They look good when things are going good around them, and when they're not so much. All right, Grant, I'm going to start with you on this one. Brian Baldinger came out today and said that he, instead of paying Brock Purdy top of the market money, he would go get Sam Darnold. And then he kind of walked it back a little bit and said, well, I would have them compete, which is interesting because they were on the same team just a year ago. That being said, this is a question that a lot of people ask. It's one thing to have the conversation and say, hey, I wouldn't be willing to give Brock that kind of money. But then the rebuttal is always, okay, well, then who are you going to get? What are you going to do? What if he holds out? So how would you handle these situations? If not Brock, if you're not going to pay him, what's the plan? Grant,
yeah, I mean, if it's, I'd much rather have Sam Darnold for $30 or $40 million a year than Brock Purdy for $50 or $60 million a year. I mean, is Brock Purdy a better quarterback than Sam Darnold? Not this year. He was in 2023, although we didn't see Sam Darnold in 2023. We've seen Sam Darnold start for a good team for the first time this year, and it's looked pretty good. And the nice thing about Sam Darnold is you don't have to give him a 4-year deal, no 5-year deal. It's a 3-year deal, and it's like maybe $120 million. You still have to keep you still have options at quarterback. You're not all in with him the way you'd be all in with Brock Purdy. So he knows the system. The locker room knows him. And if he came here, I think the locker room would accept him and play for him. So I think that's a good option.
Okay, you like the Sam Darnold option.
I do like the Sam Darnold option.
Okay, Coach, what about you? If not Brock, then what's the answer?
I mean, the Sam Darnold option is just sitting on the top. I mean, and I agree with that as well. From all of the reasons. But for me, I feel like if you're going to bring somebody in, it can be Sam Darnold-esque in the fact that I feel like Sam is the best option because he has the software matched with the hardware. He comes from 2 years of being in this offense, and on top of it, he's an uptick physically against Brock. However, I kind of want to take another turn. Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is going to be out there, as well as Taylor Heineke. These are two quarterbacks that I know are kind of fall in the same ilk as Brock, but they have a plus arm. They're conscientious guys. I know that Zach Wilson will probably be definitely on Kyle's radar. It was said to be that was kind of like their number one guy if they had to pick a couple of years ago. For me, I just think that you need to kind of bring something in there that is a little bit different from what Brock has, especially if he's going to compete against it. One thing right now, as I'll tell you, is like, don't look now, but Justin Fields may be out there. That may be somebody that we can kick the tires on and bring in here. Now, as far as seeing Kyle's system in the field, I think that, right now, I mean, obviously this is just a Sam Darnold pick, but for me, I would bring in somebody who just brings a little bit more athletically than Brock. And then also somebody that, I'm going to be honest with you, those are like younger picks, but there also is like somebody older where if he did lose to Brock, he wouldn't just leave. He would stay as our strong number 2. And if we had to elevate to him, then it would actually be something that would actually be veteran leadership and a little bit more athleticism. And that would be Marcus Mariota. I think that would be somebody who could come in right there and help us out. It's somebody who he's backing up. I believe he's over here right now with the Commanders. He's backing up Jaden Daniels. And I think that Marcus Mariota, with his athleticism, him knowing how to lead an offense that necessarily is 3 yards in a cloud of dust coming out of Tennessee, it'd be somebody where if he did beat out Brock, I think he has enough weight for us to kind of get behind it and say, well, he lost to Marcus Mariota. But at the same time, I believe Marcus Mariota kind of has the humbleness to actually kind of understand the business of the sport. And if he lost, he would be a great number 2 if Brock beat him out. And I'd be impressed if he beat Marcus Mariota out. I would.
I got a bonus name for people when you guys are done. Bonus.
Okay.
Name.
Well, and let me ask you this, though, real quick. Like, there is the option, and I want to, before I go to Ryan and then back to myself, like, there is the option of just like, hey, I'm fine with Brock. I'm just not fine with him at that money. Like, I'm just going to write it out. Like, would you prefer that option if that was available to you, or you just think, hey, that's not available? Grant, I'll let you kind of circle back on that real quick. Or would you just say, no, I'm done. I'll trade him. I'll get something.
No.
for him now,
If
and I'll
Brock
bring
wants
him
to come back and play out at the final year of his rookie deal, great. I would love that. Stick
in.
around because he might
Okay.
be great.
Okay. Coach, what about you? Would
I'd
you
like to.
consider that as
I'd like
well?
to participate in this discussion, Jesse.
No. I know, but I want to ask because I want before I get back to you, I want to make sure that that's
I'm
that
just
should be
messing.
talked about here as well.
All right, I'm just.
What do you
messing.
think, Coach? Would you bring him
Yeah.
back on his final year if that was an option and prefer to do that, or would you just
Yeah.
get rid of him? Take something back?
No. Play it all the way out. Play it all the way out because really the perfect scenario is that the Niners and the Niners and Brock understand what they're worth to each other and they meet a middle ground. So I would play it out.
Okay. Well, what about you, Ryan?
I don't think what I was gonna say is exactly what you're talking about. Like that is the option, and it's
Okay.
a lot of people are saying if not Brock, then who? And that's not the options here. Like you can force him to play. Now, if he decides to hold out, you can go. Like to me, here's the thing: Greg Papa, who gets a paycheck from the 49ers, I believe, came out and said he thinks Brock Purdy is a product of the offense. The 49ers can find products of the offense all anywhere. Name a quarterback as a free agent that wouldn't play better than they ever have with the 49ers, right? They're out there. They can find a ton of those guys. But I don't want to pay anybody. Like, I don't want to pay Sam Darnold. Like, if I'm going to pay somebody, I want it to be an improvement upon Brock Purdy. If it's just another mid-level quarterback that's a product of the offense, I would rather ride it out and draft whoever I can and let – you can have Brock for 3 years. You can make Brock pay out his contract. If he holds out, you can add a franchise tag. You can franchise tag his ass again. You don't have to commit. And I don't know why the discussion is like, how much should we pay him? Should we pay him or not? Like, you don't need to. Like, that's not the only option.
Okay, I got a name for you. So, okay, and let's take Sam Darnold out of it for the reasons you just said. He'd be pretty expensive too, and we haven't even seen him in the freaking playoffs. He could be Brian Hoyer in the playoffs. We don't know. If you're going to move on from Brock, who's won 4 playoff games, it'd be nice to bring in someone maybe older who's had success in the playoffs too, maybe won a Super Bowl.
I know you're going to say.
Is there someone out there who's
Russell
having
Wilson.
a good season who might be cheap next year who's won a Super
Russell
Bowl?
Wilson?
What about Russell Wilson? He's having a really good year, a better year than Brock. He's had a lot of playoff success. He's played his whole career in this division. You probably get him for $10 million.
Look who he's playing under, though, Grant. Russell Wilson is being paced through. He's also having one of the most realest seasons that he's had under Coach Tomlin. I don't think Russell Wilson to go from there to come here to get coached under Brock. I mean, coached under Kyle and get talked to like a child. Like, I don't see it.
He might not, but I think that if that was a possibility, that's the best option that's been brought up, in my opinion. I would rather have Russell.
He would have
Wilson.
so much. He would have so much gravitas when he walked into the locker room. I mean, it'd be like when Richard Sherman came to the team. This guy's a serious borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah. All right. So where's Russ getting his office at?
Next to Kyle.
Right next to
Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to kind of circle back, though, with the comment about, the Brock is a product of the 49ers offense. Dude, I still think we don't know yet, but the 49ers offense, as it were, is gone. It is not coming back. And for what it's worth, we got to be honest about how we pace this offense throughout the years. We haven't just been got world beaters. Before we got Christian McCaffrey, we were averaging 19 points a game, struggling with Jeff Wilson Jr. as our starting running back. So let's pump the brakes. I think CMC coming here elevated everybody.
Yeah. And there's 2 guys that are free agents that no one has discussed.
That's weird.
There are 2 free agents that no one has discussed so far.
Oh, no. We're not going to do that.
Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance.
Stop.
You see what he's doing, Grant? You see, he won't let this whole CMC versus George Kittle being more work. Dude, we're talking about now, this season.
I don't know. Wait, CMC came back and he didn't change they played better without him.
It's because he's not CMC anymore. He's old CMC. He's washed CMC. That was not the argument. Stop. That was not the argument. He was healthy at that time.
All right, bro. You picked your platform to bring that shit up. You picked your platform to bring this up. All right.
I don't know. Sports wanted us to say Mac Jones. What about Mac Jones or Daniel? Daniel Jones is another one. He'd be
bringing
dirt
the
cheap.
Joneses.
He'd be dirt cheap Daniel Jones was a top 10 pick. Mac Jones was a top 20 pick. They have some talent. They weren't on good teams at any point. You put them on this team, it is a step up for them. Again, you could get them for nothing. What do you think?
I like Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is a plus athlete. I'm telling you, I like Daniel Jones.
There's not
I
that
just
big
think he played with a
difference between him
horrible
and
team. Daniel Jones played with a horrible team, horrible offensive line. But I do like him as a quarterback. I do.
He was interesting his first year, and then he fell off. But he is on the Giants, so it's hard to judge him. You know?
Yeah.
And isn't that kind of the theme of the NFL this year? Like, don't write off highly drafted quarterbacks that struggled on bad teams, because look at Darnold and Mayfield and Goff now. All they needed was a competent organization and some time and a coach that believed in them and invested in them and some weapons and an O-line. Jesus. And it's like they're really successful now. And so like the Browns feel stupid for moving on from Baker Mayfield. And, you know, the Rams, it paid off for them, but like only because they got a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like Jared Goff is really good. So I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't trade up for Trey Lance. Maybe you just wait for Trey Lance to hit free agency 4 years down the line. Maybe that's what we're learning.
Yeah, because Trey Lance is out there right now, currently.
Right. That's Daniel Jones. Is Daniel Jones the guy that you just wait to hit free agency? Let a bunch of other people screw up on their draft pick. And then
don't trade up for Shadur Sanders. Just get him in 4 years. He'll be available. Yeah.
You might be right. A lot of these guys are becoming available. That's very true. I want nothing to do with Mac Jones. I don't like his temperament. I think Kyle would pull his hair out over Russell Wilson. I really do. For the same exact reasons that what's his name over in Denver did. Like, he doesn't play on time. He doesn't throw over the middle. Like, it's just Kyle would hate that. He would absolutely hate it. I would say, draft a quarterback, whoever you feel like is good. You've got Tanner Mordecai, and then bring in somebody like a Daniel Jones, and then just compete. Whoever the best guy is, like, truly let him compete for the starting job. I would be fine with that. But I do think the right answer is ultimately that you just don't pay Brock and let him ride it out. But that's just
Washington did that with Cousins, and I mean, why not? You're allowed to do that. What's Brock going to do?
What's Brock going to do? You took the words right out of my mouth. What is he going to do?
Yeah.
What's he going to do? Play out your contract, bro.
Like, if he holds out, then like, boom, then you just made Daniel Jones a starter. Good for you.
Come on. Yeah. Like, it's not
get a bigger contract.
Yeah. Him holding out isn't going to help his cachet, because the facts is that the elephant in the room is going to be, dude, you've gotten that big for yourself. You got a little big for your britches now. You're holding out. You finally get to the table to earn a contract negotiation, and you want to sit here and play tough ball with the organization that gave you the shot?
Coming off the season you're coming off?
Come on, man. You go home. Who brought you to the dance? What's the matter with you?
What happens if they start winning? His career's over.
Yeah, and that could be very thin. And you know what? Just to spite, if there's anything that would motivate Kyle, it would be spite.
Yeah. Sign freaking Daniel Jones for nothing.
Yeah.
Tell Brock Purdy, sorry, we're not giving you an extension. You need to come back and compete with Daniel Jones. And if you don't like it, tough. Sorry.
Tough.
Yeah. It's a tough world, man. Sorry.
You got to own part of this losing season as well. I agree with that.
I'm going to call an audible. I'm going to call an audible on the show here, because I think this is a good topic, and I think this is another part of the conversation. Yeah. Can. I'm canning the next topic. I'm canning it. Okay. Yeah, because we actually can't call audibles. Kyle won't let us, but we can it. And
they're predetermined. All the answers are there.
It was right there. It was there. I've read the defense. I like this one. I'm going to can it. Okay. So this is another question that a lot of people say, or a lot of things that people will bring up is like, oh, well, I mean, somebody surely will pay him. Let's go through the QB needy teams just off the top of our head. Let's go one by one, and let's talk about if it actually makes sense. I'll start. I'll let you guys think. The Giants. Do you think the Giants would be willing to trade for, let's say, 2 second-round picks for Brock and then pay him? Why or why not?
Jaden Daniels going up against Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and Dak Prescott. Brock Purdy is automatically fighting for the worst quarterback in that division. So, I mean, and then nobody would even really put Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts head-to-head because Philly's winning. No. I just don't see it. That's going to be hands down one of the toughest divisions in the league with all of that youth, all of those teams coming up right now. I don't see that at all.
I think we could save some time and I don't. How about is there a team?
Well, the
Because I don't
Giants are
think
going to draft Shadur Sanders. So end of story.
Yeah, is
They're gonna
there a
draft
team?
quarterback?
Well,
Is there a
in their cold weather also. Cold weather. Like
Yeah,
we've
they're gonna
seen
get
Brock play in bad
Cam
weather.
Ward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're going to
Like,
draft a
think
quarterback.
about this.
Yeah.
The Giants play outdoors in the NFC East. That's the worst thing you can do. So you can
It's
cross
over.
off AFC East teams, you can cross off. NFC East teams, you can cross off. Basically, any outdoor cold team that
NFC
plays
North.
in December.
NFC North is done.
NFC North,
AFC
done.
North is done. AFC,
So it's
he's not
either a
playing in
West or a
Cleveland,
South team.
Baltimore.
So that's
Sorry.
18 teams. And it's not going to be the Raiders because they're going to draft a quarterback too.
And it damn sure ain't Denver. The Chargers got their guy. Kansas
Saints,
City,
nobody,
fat chance.
What about the Saints? What about the
Can I tell you
Saints?
something? He's 19th in completions, 18th in attempts, 17th in completion percentage. He's 19th in touchdowns, 13th most in interceptions. Nobody's going to trade for him, guys.
Whoa. Have you seen his QBR? What are,
my
what are we
bad.
talking
My
about?
bad.
It's top 10.
Dude, you said the Saints. Derek Carr has a cap number of $51 million
He ain't going nowhere.
and 10 million guaranteed salary. Yeah, I'm sure they'd love to get Brock Purdy, but I think they're kind of stuck with Derek Carr.
Okay. What other team?
sucks,
I
by
mean,
the way.
is there another team for real?
Titans,
is there a
no.
He has no leverage.
Arizona, man. I bet they'd like to move off Kyler, even though Kyler's having a better year than Brock.
People last year were saying that Brandon Ayuk had no leverage. No. Brock Purdy
Brock has no leverage.
No leverage. Bryce
Which
turned
is
it on.
why
At,
I feel
on
like
it.
we're hearing the leaks that we're hearing right now about Brock. 'Cause it just feels like
Let's talk about
desperation from his camp. Straight up
Yeah.
desperation after a terrible game.
Manufactured outrage. Like it's
Well,
not. It's not
the
real.
leaks? What about the leaks from the 49ers side of the house? They've come out and basically threw Greg Papa like, he'll get a deal. They like him, but it's not going to be 50 million plus. Like they're already drawn a line in the sand and said basically
them.
we're not going over 50. And his
called
age
him
is
a
going,
product
we're not going
of the
less than 50. So now what?
Well, I got something for you. Are we sure that everybody in the organization is in lockstep? Who's Greg Papa speaking for? Is he speaking for the John and Kyle side of things, or is he speaking for the Jed and Denise side of things?
Good point.
Like, so who's he talking for? Maybe this could be something that he's been pumped from the top down to virtue signal to the coaching staff, like, hey, we're keeping this dude. Get your plans together because we plan on signing him. So that it may be that as well. They may be speaking to each other through the media, which would be wild, even more toxic. But it may be that.
I think they are talking to each other. And look, Greg Papa interviews Kyle Shanahan every Saturday. So he has to go sit and interview Kyle Shanahan after calling Brock Purdy a product of the offense. I don't think he would do that if that went against something Kyle would have said.
It's also possible that Greg Papa's talking out of his ass.
That's also
So true.
That's true. But it would be
He
strange.
could just be
to me.
capping.
It
Are you
would be
kidding?
strange
Like,
to me though, being that he gets paid by.
he has a radio show. He has to fill time.
He's also not the only one though. There was an
He-
executive that talked to Mike Sando and said the same thing. That said that Brock lost a lot of money because of that Rams game. And then Baldinger. I mean, God, this guy's a glorified jock holder for the 49ers all year long. And now all of a sudden he's like, give me Sam Darnold. Like, whoa. Really?
Look, I heard that Jed was upset after the first loss to the Rams. Like really upset.
Mhm.
So how's he going to feel after this one?
Yeah.
Brock's got to do something. I don't see it. I don't see any leverage for him, really. The team has kind of played it right into his hands where if he really was garnering that money, man, there'd be at least, can we look at one game that we pulled out because Brock stood up? We won because of Brock Purdy. What's the last game?
And have you seen his numbers when they're down 1 to 8 points in the fourth quarter? They're abysmal.
Yeah.
Abysmal.
Grant,
And that's to me like that's like
bigger
nut
than that.
crunching time.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that. It's not even when they're down. It's just games that are in the fourth quarter that are 7 points one way or another. I pulled those stats a few days ago. 99 pass attempts. The other stat had, I think, 60 pass attempts. So this is a bigger sample size. Fourth quarter plus minus 7 points. 57.4 completion, 3 touchdowns, 6 turnovers, 68 passer rating.
I got an idea.
That's up or down.
What
Doesn't
about you
matter.
pay Brock and you play him for 3 quarters, but then in the 4th quarter you bring in a closer.
Like a Rivera?
Like a Rivera, and you just play him for 1 quarter. That could be the future of football right there. I said it here first on the 4-man front.
Change the game.
Oh, he's a professional closer?
He throws hella hard. He's a little
And
wild.
in the weather.
Yo, but you know what? All of your closers would have to be like Jameis Winston level obsessed with football, because we need a run out. Like, it's got to be like, it can't be just anybody. Yeah, we need a walkout song and everything for the closer. 4th quarter, sit Brock down on the 3rd. Tanner Mordecai could be our closer.
Hey, dude, man, this guy, he owns the 4th quarter. What can I say?
Dude, Tanner Mordecai.
I can see it now. Kyle walks out with a big thing of chew in his lip, walks out to the 50-yard line, looks at the sideline, slaps his arm, bring in the righty. Mordecai walks out, dude. So lit.
It would make football. What football needs is more laterals and closers. I think it would make the score better.
Yeah. We need closers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And we need, football teams need like an enforcer, like an official fighter. Like, so even when there's about to be a fight, everybody calls in there one guy and they just go at it at the 50-yard line.
Get thrown out.
You got a problem? You got a problem?
Yeah.
Let's go. Sit down, our professional kickasser.
So good. I love this. Oh, man. All right. Corey says, who's the best team in the NFC West in 2 years? Go, Hawks.
2 years?
Is Stafford still playing? It depends on if Stafford's still playing. Stafford's still playing, I'll go with the Rams.
2 years is hard to predict.
2 years, I go with the Seahawks.
But like, we don't even in 2 years is Geno going to be their quarterback? In 2 years is we don't even know who the quarterbacks are going to be on these teams in 2 years.
Yeah,
they'll probably all be different.
True.
Let's go next year. I'm going to change the question. It's a good question. How about next year? I'll go Rams.
Rams.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be, it's going to be crazy for us next year. Even if we do the right thing, it's going to be crazy for us next year.
You have seen steady improvement from the Cardinals every year with their coach, but I don't know. I'd probably have to go Rams. I don't know. Like Stafford to me is in that elite category, but he's getting old, man. And I don't know how long he's going to be able to maintain that. So that's a tough question. I'll just say
he needs another receiver who's not Cooper Kupp, because that guy's washed.
Yeah, Coop's washed. Sorry, Cooper.
Washed.
You're washed, buddy. No catches. What is that?
They are, but they did draft some young guys too, man. I don't know.
That's poop. Get out of here, Cooper. The pooper Cooper.
You gotta admire that Sean McVay was like, "Oh, you suck now. Okay, I'm done." Whereas Kyle Shanahan's like, "I think Debo might be good if I give him another chance."
He's like, they think you suck, but I think you're better. That's the issue. You need more touches.
I don't know that Cooper's fully washed though either. Like it was a game where he didn't get any catches, but he's had some good games too this year. I don't know. He's definitely not the old Cooper Kupp, but he's not washed.
He looks slow.
Yeah.
He always just kind of looks slow to me.
He gives me Jordy Nelson vibes without the Nelson. He's just Jordy. Like he's slowing down, man. He's slowing down.
I agree.
He gives me Harrison Butker vibes without the Butker.
There you go.
You know,
just Harrison.
Yeah, just Harrison. Just Butker.
That's about right.
Butker.
As is Brock Purdy at 55 to 65 million, really better than an average quarterback reclamation project plus an all-pro left and right tackle. I think that's the thing is like we've seen that you can win. It's proven you can win with a quarterback who's but a really good team around him. You can win with an elite quarterback who's being paid. You can't win a ring with a good quarterback that's being paid. It's just hasn't happened in the salary cap era. So
unless he has really good receivers who can beat man-to-man coverage like by a lot, he's gonna continue to struggle. Brock Purdy, like Jawan Jennings and Deebo Samuel aren't good enough. He needs guys like prime Ayuk and Justin Jefferson. If he had Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, he'd be money. But right now, all you have to do is play man-to-man coverage, and he sucks.
And I still don't think he get the ball out that quick. I think another thing that's happened this season is his releases kind of suffered as well. He's loading up a lot to get those balls out there. So I mean, what I'm seeing is that I know we're talking about is Brock worth the money, but in my opinion, and I don't want to step on any of the topics because we know them all, but has Brock regressed?
Oh, has he?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah.
has Brock regressed? Is the question?
Yeah.
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 Hell yeah. I mean, what? Of course
Hell.
he's regressed.
yeah.
Absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean he won't snap back.
But,
like
I'm not talking about regressed in the sense of like CJ Stroud is having a down year. He's regressed, right? But he's had spots of regression, but nobody's like ringing the alarm. Like he's officially worse than he was this year. Is Brock showing us a different level of floor? Has he regressed?
Yes. His decision making has dropped off. His arm has dropped off. I don't know if that's because of injury or whatever, but his decision making has dropped off.
Yeah.
And that was always his strength. Right? He never had the arm talent, but now his arm talent's worse for whatever reason. And his decision making has also suffered. So yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's
I just
question.
feel like
his
this
numbers
stuff was
against
all
man-to-man
over his
coverage
film.
are just disgusting. Just disgusting. And it's been like that
That's the
since the
thing.
playoffs last year.
Grant, like I watched you and Larry's show, and you guys brought up a good point. You named off all the first, second, and third round picks for the 49ers. They do a horrible job in those rounds. And so if you don't have a quarterback that can elevate regardless of who his receivers are, and you have to find those receivers, how are you going to find them? You don't have a quarterback that can elevate them, and you can't find them in the draft. So what's the formula for success here? That's what I don't understand.
I do want to give Ricky Pearsall a little grace because he missed training camp. Forget the gunshot. He missed training camp. Ayuk missed training camp. Ayuk was buns after missing training camp. He was buns. He was cheeks. He was buns and cheeks at the same time. So maybe Ricky with a full training camp next year and might be something. I'm not going to call him a bust just yet.
I'm not calling. I don't think Ricky's a bust, but when I watch him, he's like a wide receiver 2 at best.
Yeah,
possibly.
I agree.
You know, he's not that guy.
Yeah,
I mean, but if you think about it,
out.
guys, like, you know, we talked about like he's bad against man to man. You know, I don't want to look at it all as it's all on the receivers. This is the NFL. Wide open in the NFL is like a half a step.
True.
That's open. All right. So
But he doesn't have the arm. Like that's open for Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow.
no, that's open for the
Brock and his
NFL
pea
though,
shooter.
Grant.
For
Grant,
Brock and his pea shooter, he needs 5 yards of separation.
Exactly,
man.
but that's zone. That's zone.
Right.
So really what you're asking, to be honest with you, is that there's a delta. Because he throws in zone, he throws the ball with anticipation and gets the ball out that faster. And you know what? It looks amazing, but it's also a caveat for his weak arm. However, when he goes to man, that burden is put onto the receivers now. Because I can't get open like a regular receiver where I can get a half a step and trust that I got a quarterback with an arm that can get it there. Now I got to be 2 yards open just so I can have a chance for you to get the ball there before he even gets there on time. So in my opinion, even finding receivers around Brock that can get open, we're going to have to find some speed demons, some guys that are for real technicians.
Or guys who are like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", who can win 50-50 balls.
And just get up and go get it because
Like
there's
he
not
had a lot of success in college with who's it? Akeem Butler, 6'5", 6'5".
Yeah.
He has a lot of success with Jawan Jennings and Kittle. Yeah. He might need guys like that, or you know, prime Odell Beckham Jr. or prime Antonio Brown, who's just whooping dudes. Like
and who's out there like that? There's none of those guys falling off trees. So, but really, like, Brock's going to need big receivers.
And that's why this discussion comes back to how much you should pay Brock Purdy, because if he needs all of that to be successful, how can you pay him top tier money? That's the thing,
right? Because even a guy like Jared Goff, who's mid, was the #1 pick in the NFL and has an incredible arm, both in terms of velocity and accuracy. Like Baker Mayfield was mid, #1 pick in the freaking NFL draft. Like the entire league prodded him, poked and prodded him. Was like, yeah, he's legit. That's not Brock. Brock had a year where he was legit, and now he needs to prove it again.
Deshaun says that we're missing the low-hanging fruit, and nobody mentioned Jimmy G, which, I mean, they can win with Jimmy G. That has been proven. Caesar says 6 cents Sam season 2025 with the Ghosts. The BS report says this team isn't going anywhere next year anyways. If not Brock, it should be somebody with untapped potential. I like that. Corey says, Grant, you're selling that BS to the fan base. Yeah, Grant. To lose Brock, who's shown winning ability, to go with Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, or any other first-round bust? Stop.
Hey, Corey, Jimmy Garoppolo's shown winning ability. Should we just get him?
Oh, that's true. Nick Foles is out there. I think he might come out of retirement.
Winning ability was something we used to say about Jimmy to keep from saying that he sucked.
The one guy I don't think the Niners should get to replace Brock, Jameis.
No.
I think he's a great backup quarterback, a phenomenal backup quarterback, but he's he's not quite serious enough. He just throws picks, and I think when he does it, like he looks like he's upset, but it just seems like he's
hilarious. He's got good energy,
hilarious.
but not as like a true number one quarterback. Like I can't take him serious.
I can't take him seriously. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, he makes me laugh.
He's hella funny.
Bill says, I would like to have him here though. He'd be a lot of fun, man.
Can you imagine Kyle trying not to choke him? Can you imagine like Kyle and Nick Bosa trying to say nice things about Jameis?
It would be great. It'd be so good.
It'd be hilarious.
It'd be so good.
Nick, what do you think about Jameis? He's an exciting guy. He's pretty.
I just want to feel like, because to me, like it's always tough to find a balance in the locker room. There's so many players, and when the Niners, when they first were good in 2019, they had Richard Sherman, Emmanuel Sanders. Those were leaders. Like
They were implants though. They were transplants.
True. Now, I mean, it's just a very mayonnaise-y team. And they might be able to. They might need a little balance. Is all I'm trying to say.
You're talking about
some leadership.
That's crazy.
Some leadership. Armstead,
a little bit of a little bit of cheese
on.
sandwich with the crust cut off.
Greenlaw, great. Wonderful.
A little bit of Zatarans. You got a little bit of Zatarans in there.
just a
little bit. But outside of that shit has been straight Duke's mayonnaise. You are right. Ain't no seasoning on this team, dog.
Bill says, can the 49ers structure Brock's contract so a majority of the money does not go against the cap? No, I mean, you're going to have to figure out where the money hits somewhere. They can push the money towards the back end of the contract. They can maneuver it however they want, but the money is going to hit the cap no matter what. It's just when you want it to hit the cap. And
real quick, look at Jalen Hurts' extension. His cap number goes from 5.2 to 7.7 to 11 to 13. And then it explodes. So I think teams are figuring out ways to sort of backload these deals so they're not crippling within the first 3 years. And it's like after that third year, you can decide like, do we extend you or do we trade you? Because we're not keeping you at $47 million cap number. I think that's kind of what teams are doing these days. And what the Niners
doesn't that require though that Jed York comes out of pocket up front? Isn't that what it would require though? Like just
a lot of money up front. Yeah. Usually.
Probably.
Yeah. So
but they love him so much, pay him.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So Jalen Hurts was what? 5 years, $255 million with $110 million guaranteed, and nothing guaranteed after year 3. So year 4, the cap number is $41 million with zero guaranteed money. You can move.
I think he got 180 guaranteed.
What was the sign-up bonus? What was
Total,
the signing bonus?
but fully guaranteed is 110. Total is the injury stuff in case he gets hurt.
Sorry, Grant.
So, you can't get all of that, but he will for sure get 110 million. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners try to offer Brock something like that. Well, and if he wants to like hold out, then it's like, dude, get to know Daniel Jones.
What was the signing bonus on that one, Grant? On that Jalen Hurt?
23.2.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it was, but yes, it was 23.2. That was it. But there's a lot of like options. There was like 200. Yeah, they structured it in a weird way where they didn't give a big signing bonus.
Okay,
but there's like roster option bonus. I don't exactly know how it works, but check out Jalen Hurts' contract. Check out Trevor Lawrence's contract. The way those are structured, I'm sure the Niners are going to try to do something similar.
Yeah, you don't want to go what Miami did, which was the tour route. Not a fan. Manhattan says, I think they offer Brock choices. Option 1, 4 years, 45, 100 million guaranteed. Don't like it. Play on the current deal, and if you win a playoff game, 50 million a year and 120 guaranteed. Yeah, I mean, who knows? You know what's interesting is I do think most people are under the assumption that they're just going to pay Brock. But outside of really the Jimmy G contract, which at that time they hadn't won, right? There was a lot of pressure to win because Kyle hadn't won anything yet. and they were looking for any glimmer of success. And they also had a lot of just free money coming up. And so they could afford to just, let's pay Jimmy, let's move on. That's what we want to do.
And he was
Are
an
we sure that
unrestricted
they're
free
just
agent.
going to? Yes,
They didn't
so
have as
are
many
we
options.
sure? Are we sure that they're just going to, for sure, like, here you go, here's all the money? Or are they going to play hardball here like they did with Ayuk and Bosa and Trent and every other player? Like, I don't know.
Also,
They
let's
have
acknowledge
to.
he's coming off a bad year. It's not like he's coming off an all-pro year. He's coming off a bad year.
I agree, man. And what we say all the time, we've coined it here. So when I hear it anywhere else, I know it's because people watch us. What do we say about contracts? Contracts are not for what you've done. They're for what you're going to do. And for what you've done, it's enough to get you to the door. But for what Brock has done, especially off of this last season, he's hurt himself. Dude, the least that the most that I'm ready to do is give him the Baker deal if he wants to get paid now, or you can bet on yourself and then we can circle back to the Baker deal once you prove what you eventually are. Stop playing. I'm done with this
better
saga.
Not offer him a cent over $45 million a year.
Yeah. Just pay him and get it over with. Like, it's over.
That seems a lot to me. But do not pay him more than $45 million. And if he has a problem with that, you're signing Daniel Jones the next day for whatever, $5 million.
Move on, man. You know what we've had to do to prop this stuff up for this long? It's time for Kyle to actually go out there and develop a real quarterback if he can't get it done with this one. I'm over it. Let's move on.
Isn't it crazy? Vikings have 5 quarterbacks.
Dude, they're a phenomenal, not a phenomenal, they're an excellent organization.
From a quarterback
Excellent. What are the best organizations in football? Can we talk about that real quick? Obviously, Kansas City. Minnesota is an excellent organization. Green Bay is an excellent organization. Detroit is a terrific organization.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
The Rams are a pretty good organization. Pittsburgh's a pretty good. Philly's a pretty good organization.
Yeah. The Bills.
The Bills are a pretty good organization. That's 8.
The 49ers are a good organization. Like,
they're a good organization.
Niners.
But I just named 8 that are better.
You know who's quietly a good organization on the low? The Houston Texans.
Now.
Well,
you know what's a dog shit
they
organization?
are off the.
Hey man, hey, whatever, man. They got Watson. Get out of here.
You know who the most winningest coach in the NFL is right now? Like, from a percentage standpoint?
Who? Sirianni.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what's having an interesting bounce back season? Sean Payton.
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. With Bo Nix.
Bo freaking Nix.
That's
quite
crazy,
impressive.
man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Corey says he doesn't think the Giants will take Shedeur Sanders because they're not willing to accept a black signal caller. So
That is true. They've never. Well, they had Tyrod. Excuse me, but that's about it. Yeah.
But he says a stopgap Tyrod. Yes.
Hey, well, if racism will allow the Niners to trade Brock Purdy for a first-round pick, then you know what?
So be it.
It paid off after
I'm here for
years. It paid off. Yeah.
A win is a win.
Daz says, how can you pay Brock Purdy more than Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Stafford? Paying Dak that much was a mistake. It doesn't mean that we should. Ryan, I think you said something on your show earlier this week. I've been trying to search for the words, but I didn't say it as well as you did or thought of it in that moment. You talked about the Jaguars, the Giants, the Dolphins, and all them paying them. And what was your response to that?
I don't want to be them. I don't want to be the Jaguars. I don't want to be the Cowboys. I don't want to be those teams that are doing that. I don't want to be the Dolphins. So, like, why is that the model? Like, people throw that out there. Well, they paid Tua. Yeah. And look at the freaking Dolphins. Like, I don't want to be the Dolphins. Like, what are we talking about?
Like,
I'm looking at Tua's contract real quick. The structure. There's 0 guaranteed money after 2025.
For Tua's contract?
Technically, it's a 1-year extension. Technically.
Wow.
How much? But he balloons up next year, right? Like, almost overnight, it goes up.
Cap number is 39.4 next year. That's disgusting. Awful.
Tua?
Awful.
Yeah.
Next year. But then in 2026, it goes up to 56.4, which is just it's unacceptable.
ungodly.
But there's also 0 guaranteed salary. So he has one more year to show that he's legit, which he's not, and then they will get rid of him in 2026. And
That's
knowing
what if
that
they
the
cut
Miami
him? What if
Dolphins
they
are
cut
kind of
him
like
after
the East
2025?
Coast version of the Niners, maybe the Niners do the same thing where they give him this huge contract, but there's 1 year of guaranteed money. One.
I think that's what happened.
What is
Maybe
the
two.
implications?
So they're paying Tua 25 this year, right?
What
They're
is the
paying
implications
Tua
if they cut him? After next year?
His cap number is 9.5 this year. Next year it's 39.4. If they cut him in 2026, they save $31 million of cap space. 31
But
million.
what do
They're
they?
definitely
What
cutting
hits them? What hits
Te-
them? though?
dead cap is 25.2. So
That's
more,
not bad.
more cap savings than dead cap.
That's
So
not
he
bad.
better ball the fuck out next year or he's the fucking gone. Sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
So maybe
All right.
it's
Maybe you
something
do
similar to Brock.
restructure it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about how you structure it more than anything. We talk about the yearly, but it's really the guaranteed and the structure and the guaranteed years.
See, because I
he
just
almost
saw
93 million in fully guaranteed money, not as much as Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, or Love even for that matter.
Yep.
Because I knew that it ballooned up, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. But if the answer is you can let them go after 1 year, essentially, then yeah. Yep. Corbin says, "Lord deliver me from pick sixes." Jameis Winston, he did say that.
That
which
shit
is
was
very
so funny.
Shady
so
Luke says
funny.
if Brock would have went out and won that game and took over against the Rams, that I think is a different conversation. The fact that he couldn't do it with the season on the line is no good. That's from an Eagles fan.
The throw
Beats
to
and
Kittle
meats.
deep was bad. The throw to Pearsall deep was bad.
Oh
Sorry.
my God, the
And
pick.
that interception was like a Jimmy G pick, dude. It was
It was
so
such a throw up play. Like I'm giving it up and I'm hoping something will happen.
They could have taken a knee, kicked a field goal, and been in better
thrown
shape
it
than
away.
that. Yeah.
Something.
Throw it away.
Pearsall was open underneath. Could just dumped it off.
Listen, Beats and Meats says
That was
how
like
is
Colin
Darnold
Kaepernick throwing the interception to Richard Sherman while Quentin Patton is like waving for the ball on the left. Sorry.
on the far left? I remember
Yeah.
that. I remember watching it live, going, "He's wide open. Like, what are you doing?"
What are you doing?
Beats and Meats says, "How is Darnold playing so well after being straight cheeks for years? Tell me who's to blame."
He's on a
Nobody's
great
to
team.
blame.
He's on
This-
a really good team. Yeah.
Really good team.
Sam Darnold, okay. Here's what you take from the Sam Darnold situation. It's not that Sam Darnold is all of a sudden good and it's like everybody was effing up before. It's that Sam Darnold is not very good, but even guys that have just some talent, if they're surrounded by greatness, they too can play well. What Brock Purdy did last year, what Jimmy Garoppolo did those prior years, they are not the only quarterbacks in this league that can go and play well if everything around them is perfect. And Sam Darnold right now is just the next example of that, in my
That's
opinion.
true. But also,
would
I
be
feel like
better?
we're seeing. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No, I'm sorry, man. I was saying, would Brock be better than Sam Darnold if he was on the Vikings?
I don't know that he'd be better, but he'd still be putting up really good numbers.
He still be.
You wouldn't
They
be getting
find
the
a
ball down the
way.
field like Sam though.
I don't think he'd be able to get the
He
ball to
can't throw it
Jenna.
like that. Yeah, he
Again,
can't
I
throw
think
it
what
like
we're
that.
seeing though is that like guys like Sam Darnold who do have legit talent come into the league and they try to do too much on bad teams and they looked at as bad players. It's like, oh, he turns the ball over a lot. Well, he's trying to be a playmaker on a fucking dog shit team. What do you want? Like, you drafted him to be special. He's trying to be special. He's doing way too much. You take him out of that terrible situation and let him like play within himself on a good team. And it's like, it works. Oh my goodness. It's like, okay, maybe that's the way to get a quarterback from now on. Instead of like trading 4 first-round picks to trade up for a guy who you don't know, who probably isn't ready, just wait for some team to botch it with some guy who's talented and then get him.
Scoop him up.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry. We watched Sam Darnold for years, and then we saw him in training camp last year. I was not him. I'm sorry. Maybe he's great, and so far
I'm not saying he's
everybody's
great.
had
But like,
the
how
wrong
many
eyes.
teams? How many
We
quarterbacks
saw
would play
him
well
in
in the
training
Jets and the
camp. He was
Panthers?
not that good. I'm
He
sorry.
wasn't. But how many quarterbacks would play well in the Jets and the Panthers? None.
I don't know for sure.
When I watched
And that's why I feel like Bryce Young has a future. Like, he's on the Panthers.
when I watched that
Yeah,
training
he's
camp
showing
with
stuff.
Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, and Brock Purdy, none of them separated to me.
I agree
But
with
you could tell a difference in arm strength with Trey and Sam than over Brock. But none of them looked by far
none
better
of
than
them
the other.
separated.
None of them.
Anyways, Shady Luke says, would Brock and his agent even be willing to take a deal like Jalen with more money later on? That's the real question. You assume that you know your player, but nah.
No. Like I'll say something to that. One thing about the structure that's probably going to be a bottleneck issue for me is how much money up front that they're going to want. They know what he is. This is a smash and grab situation. That's why if you look at negotiations, what do? You try to blow it up as high as you can because you know wherever you land is going to be way more than you expected anyway. So I feel like for them to even be putting this out before the season is over, I think it's a sign of no tact. And I think that they do know that they've got a fight coming, and they're trying to keep the conversation and the narrative going before these 3 games roll out, and it's all but a foregone conclusion that Brock's playing on the last year of his deal. So they're trying to keep something alive.
You asked earlier why to sign Brock. How about because every time Kyle Shanahan has a quarterback, it's the same arc: early success and a slow fade. Maybe it's Kyle's problem. Maybe if you keep Brock and you invest in the offensive line and a head coach who cares about the offensive line, Brock could have a resurgence. The way Baker and Goff and Darnold have had, well, forget Darnold, the way Baker and Goff have had resurgences. Maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. The BS report says the thing that gives me a little pause on if they will pay him is, Kyle thinks he can turn any quarterback into an all-pro. Would love to know what Kyle truly thinks about Brock. Should have asked at the Super Bowl media night. He's not going to say anything other than nice things. But yes, because you're saying he was drinking. That's a good point. All right. Frisco says Kyle can't develop QBs or rehab them. The Niners have to pay Brock or get rid of Kyle and Brock. This was kind of where Grant just went.
Yeah.
Bill says in the real world, guys, athletes are paid for past performance.
So what are incentives for? So what are incentives?
Maybe by bad organizations.
Yeah. That's not
organizations don't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe in the 49ers real world, they do that. Which they shouldn't. The BS report says turning Zach Wilson into an all-pro makes Kyle a genius again in the eyes of the public. Ooh.
Who do you think Kyle would rather coach, Zach Wilson or Mac Jones?
Zach Wilson.
Zach
Wilson, maybe. I don't know.
I think Zach Wilson. I think Mac.
Why though? Like Zach Wilson has never been good in the NFL, and Mac Jones had that one rookie year where he had a winning record on a terrible team.
He made a Pro Bowl. He's made a Pro Bowl. I think
Mac Jones fits the profile of first-round pick who was on a crap team. I guess Zach Wilson does too.
Exactly. Mac Jones a fight Kyle on the sidelines. That kid's got issues. It's got anger issues.
They would get along at all.
I don't think Mac Jones and Kyle would get along at all, bro.
Kyle's keeps it real, and Mac Jones doesn't want you to keep it real. Mac Jones like Fortnite spazzes on coaches, dog. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
Could you imagine Mac Jones like Kyle? You know how Kyle likes to kind of like passive aggressively do things to show how upset he is. Talk to Brock out his locker room, shoot a bad look. You know what I'm saying? And like most quarterbacks are reserved enough to kind of ingest it but keep it moving. Mac would completely just blow up on Kyle. What are you looking at me like that for? What are you doing? It's your plays. They suck.
Has Mac been like humble though? Like, dude, you're about to be on your third team.
I don't think so.
I don't think he has.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And the fact that Sean Payton wanted Zach Wilson, I feel like Sean Payton and Kyle Shanahan. I feel like Kyle looks up to Sean Payton. So if Sean Payton's interested in a quarterback, Kyle would be too.
Is Sean Payton to Zach Wilson what Kyle Shanahan was to Sam Darnold? Meaning he was like
maybe one more year,
maybe. Also, let's say the Jets had taken Justin Fields with the second pick in 2021. I think the Niners would have taken Zach Wilson instead of
Zach
I believe that too.
I would say Zach because he's the most personality-wise. He's the most like Brock. He's the most like Trey. Mac Jones is more like Jimmy.
Are you saying Brock is a MILF lover?
That's actually not what I was saying.
That's messed up.
That's messed up. Dog, you know that dynamic would play in Silicon Valley out here. the hot mom, like it
But
would
Mac
play.
Jones-
I can see her in
Jameis
Niners
wouldn't
jerseys
exactly
now.
play, but Zach Wilson would.
Zach
I
Wilson
can see
would
Mac
play.
Jones saying your play suck is what I'm saying. Like Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Sean says Baldinger been listening to Grant. Grant Cohn has been talking about Darnold as an option for
Dude, the
weeks.
whole
One of you
league
guys
has
stay
been
real.
talking about it. It's
Yeah.
obvious. The whole league's been talking about
He
it.
just came from here.
Yeah.
And then you heard what Kyle said. Kyle said he thought he was better. He was better than he could be the next Steve Young.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyle didn't
Hey,
pick
Luke.
freaking Brock Purdy. Steve Slowick and Brian Greasy did. Like Kyle wanted Darnold.
Give him guaranteed money to be the number 2 guy.
He did. Shady Luke says people tend to forget that Sam Darnold has had no structure his whole career. It's not that he sucks. No good coaching, no organization. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people-
No. Let's stop this. He sucks. He's just on another good organization. Let's
I
not
don't
do
think-
this.
No. I mean, like, I'm kind of with Shady on this one. Like, it's hard to judge a quarterback. Like, I'm not even going to judge Trey Lance. Trey Lance hasn't played. Like, I think it's hard to judge a quarterback before they're 27, 28. Like, they're learning. There's a lot of shit fucking organizations out there that do these quarterbacks no favors. And a lot of times they find themselves, like Geno Smith found himself in his 30s.
Geno's
That says a lot about the
mid.
league.
Found
That
himself.
says a lot about the league. You give up on these quarterbacks, you draft them high, you build them up, you give up on them, and you move on. It's like, nah, this is a developmental position. Steve Young didn't become a starter until he was 30 years old. Like
That's a
this is
different NFL, Grant.
we're
And
talking-
he
this is
waited
like
his
brisket.
turn.
This is like brisket, man. You're slow cooking this motherfucker.
You're pulling that. You're pulling everything out the
Slow
woodwork.
cooking this. You can't just
Look,
throw it
hold
on the
on, wait a
grill.
minute.
That's
We're
California barbecue, man.
moving.
You
We're
can't just
moving.
throw it
Hold
on
on,
the
wait a
grill.
minute. Wait a
This
minute.
is
Wait a minute.
all day. This is
Name a
12
quarterback.
hours.
Name the quarterback that was a bum that came in the first round. Then he found himself in his late 20s and actually lived up to his potential. Not reclamated his career to a point where it's like, okay, they wrote me off, but I ain't right back. That's a cool Rudy Rudiger story, but you're still mid, Gino.
I got one. This
Baker
is
Mayfield
way back.
got
How
thrown
about
away,
Jim
but he's back. But
Plunkett?
guess what? Baker's still mid, and we like
Jim
him because he
Plunkett.
gets mid money.
Jim
Who?
Plunkett was the number 1 pick. He was the rookie of the year. He got hurt.
Plunkett?
It's been It's been happening.
Can you please come into the color
Jim
TV
Plunkett.
era at least?
Jim
Can you
Plunkett,
name a
2 Super
quarterback
Bowls.
when the internet was around?
Super Bowls.
Jim Plunkett.
Just Jim Plunkett, baby.
All I'm saying is, this is my thing. I understand that it's cool to see quarterbacks who, yes, they were thrown on the trash heap. They needed time to actually settle in, find a team and an offense that believes in them,
What
and then
about
they turn in. Baker's mid.
Where's this? I'm hearing
Baker's
feedback.
mid.
It's his mic. It's his. Yeah, I tried to get rid of it, but yeah, it's a lot of feedback when you guys are going.
Sound like Darth
talking over
Vader.
each other.
It's kind of
It
cool.
does.
I think Sam Darnold is never going to play as good as he is right now on any team moving forward, including the Vikings.
Baker Mayfield has 32 touchdown passes and 14 picks. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I said what I have to say.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, I
Didn't
think
cut
this
you
might
off.
be it for Sam Darnold as far as like it maybe his best year. But Brett Favre was one, technically. I mean, he got done super dirty by the Falcons. People forget about that. And then he went to the Packers. Shady Luke says people
I
tend
would
to
have took
forget
Brett
that Sam
Favre,
Darnold.
Grant.
People tend to forget Sam Darnold has had no structure his whole career. Okay, got that one. Yep. Helperman says Lyle is a QB's worst nightmare. He's a fraud.
That Lyle was
fraud.
spot on. That's so
I
funny.
know. I think it's Dave Barclay. Deshaun says cousin benched. There's our answer.
Dude, Kyle tries to do
finally
that.
gets his bride.
We need to boycott him in general.
Was
It's
he
a general
benched?
boycott.
Is it official?
I don't know. Kyle better
Man,
not. Can I just say something? I think I've mentioned this before, but like according to my sources, and I heard this in the offseason,
Mhm.
if the Niners don't extend Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins and his camp are under the impression that he will be the quarterback of the 49ers. I heard this before the season started.
That's disgusting, man.
I didn't think too much of it. But like, yo, that better not happen.
Kirk is regressing.
But I also heard, and maybe this is wrong, but I also heard before the season that Kyle and Kirk talk every day. Every day.
That would
I believe that.
Every day.
I
That
would have
wouldn't-
been
that wouldn't
okay with
surprise
it
me.
before this season, but after this season, I was okay with it a couple of weeks ago. But like Cousins is falling completely off the map. I don't know what's up. With him.
Yeah, but let me say this real quick, and we'll end it here. There could be a couple things at play, just to be fair, and he may completely have fallen off the map. He may just be bad. That is also very possible. I'm not ruling that out. But there are two other things that happened to him that we cannot forget. One, he's coming off of a major injury, one that really takes at that age probably 2 full years to recover. I mean, even Aaron Rodgers, as bad as he's looked, you look at him the last 3 weeks, all of a sudden he's like starting to get mobile again and move around. The other part of this is he went to a whole new organization that does not run his style of anything. Like it was a whole new gut change, everything coming off a major injury. I'm not advocating to bring Kirk Cousins in. All I'm saying is it might not be as bad if he's put into another situation where he's running the offense that he does know and is very familiar with and is another year removed from the injury. I wouldn't completely write him off as just done and washed yet. Not yet.
You talk about balls. That would take a lot from Kyle Shanahan.
That would listen. I'm not advocating to bring him in. That's not what that was. I'm just saying.
I
that
think
it is possible he's not completely washed.
But again,
I wouldn't put it past Kyle.
if Kirk Cousins is an option and he's making $45 million a year, and Brock Purdy wants 60, I don't see how you can offer him that because Kirk is out there for 45, Darnold's out there for 35, 40, and Daniel Jones is out there for a ham sandwich.
A ham sandwich and a bag of chips.
Yeah, like there are better options than that.
Be real. Don't you think Kyle would rather have a Kirk Cousins that sees the plays, hits them on time versus a guy that's scrambling around because he's not seeing things?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I would say if they cannot come to an agreement with Brock and this thing plays out and Kirk Cousins is available to be had, I don't know that a lot of people are going to trade for him. They might just have to cut him and then you could bring him in for cheap, knowing that the Falcons are on the hook for money. Maybe you only have to pay like $10 million and then you have a good, remember the whole quarterback room? Whatever happened to that? Maybe they just
we got a great quarterback room,
guys. Yeah.
We got a great quarterback room.
You know, guys, it's about the quarterback room, not just the quarterback. Anyways,
we got
that's going to do it for us. Appreciate y'all for tapping into the 4-man front. And that's it for me too. I will say this: I have to make the announcement on the channel. I'm going to be gone for the next week. I'm in the Dominican Republic for the next week.
Jesse's pregnant.
Yeah, I'm pregnant. 9 months actually. It's crazy. I carry it well. Yeah, so I'm going to be gone for the next week. So make sure you're checking all these guys' content out. Ryan, Coach, Grant, you're subscribed to them, watching them because I'm not going to be around. I'm going to be enjoying myself, and it's perfect timing because the 49ers suck. I mean, really, what am I missing out on? Probably not a lot. Anyways,
we'll hold it down.
Talk to you soon. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Shady Luke says, nah, Grant, you're right. People assume learning new playoffs every year, no structure, mad talent. Rivers, Breeze, Manning, and Brady got better and better. Well, then we can make that argument for Brock, right? I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going to make the argument for these guys, why can't we make the argument for Brock? All right. That's it. Much love. Peace.